All right. Question from D.A. Learn. What do you do with a large windfall? Do I follow Foo, or can you jump steps like pay off the mortgage and do that early?
Well, okay, so
It's like a checkerboard.
yeah. So Foo exists for a reason, right? The reason we came up with the financial order of operations is so that as you're making financial decisions, you have a litmus test that you can work through to make sure that you're staying inside the guardrails, right? Well, the good news is if you have a large lump sum come into your presence, it shouldn't be incredibly difficult to bang out some of the Foo levels pretty quickly. Like you can do them in quick succession. What I would encourage you to do is I think oftentimes, and Brian, I want to hear you speak to this a little bit. A lot of times when people come into a big windfall, they start rushing into making rapid decisions. Oh, okay, I just sold my business for $5 million. I need to go buy $1 million house. Or, oh man, I just got an inheritance of $500,000. I need to go pay off the $300,000 mortgage. Or I really want the new car. Or now it's time to do the windows. Or now it's time to fill in the blank of the things that you want to start doing with that money. And what we often encourage people to think about when you have a large lump sum come into your possession is to move very slowly as it comes to making decisions. A lot of those things we threw out, whether it's buying a new car, buying a new house, or paying off the mortgage, or any of those things, may not be bad, but you want to make sure that you do it in the right order, that you're making the decisions understanding what the unintended consequences of that decision may be. Because too often we'll see someone who got a lump sum, made a bunch of bad decisions, and then after those bad decisions were made, they come and try to have us kind of help pick up the pieces. We've had a lot of experience with this, Brian. What are some of the things that you would say, or some of the things you've counseled people to do when it comes to receiving a lump sum?
I thought you did a good job because the first thing is this whole slow down. Don't let somebody push you into making a decision quickly under some false pretense that there's a requirement of something. Mm-hmm. So take a deep breath, especially when you come into money. Why are so many lottery winners broke is because I think that they are frivolous. They're not purposeful. They're not beginning with the end in mind of knowing what the why is. And then I would use the financial order of operations with a windfall to when you do decide to take action to accelerate the steps. But you still need to pay respect to the steps. And let me explain why. I've shared, and I got a lot of you guys were really mad that I said this and I shared this. I'm like, guys, I can't help what people tell me in my life is that I had, the widow in my Sunday school class who, when she got to know me and knew what I found out what I did for a living, she said, look, I'd like you to use me as a cautionary tale to tell people when they come in to inherit a big chunk of money because their spouse passed away, don't just immediately go out and pay off the debt because somebody had told me that, hey, the best thing you can do to change with this chunk of money that came into your possession is, go pay off the mortgage because then, no matter what happens at you'll own the house and you'll be risk free. And what they didn't know is this person, because that's people who give you off the cuff advice like that, they don't really know your situation. This is why we always tell people, hire a financial advisor so that you're not doing things for the first time yourself. You actually have somebody who has experience, because this is the type of stuff. I work with a number of widows, and I would never immediately just say, do not pass go, we'll pay off debt. Maybe that's the answer. But what this person who gave this advice to this widow, who now goes around and actively pulled me aside after a Sunday school class and said, make sure you tell people this cautionary tale, use me as the example. I think if somebody would have known the full picture, they'd be like, hey, this person doesn't have a full emergency reserves. This person doesn't necessarily have how they're going to have their living expenses secured in the future and liquidity. That type of stuff would have been uncovered, and we could have been much more purposeful, because what happens when you pay off a mortgage. Or you pay. The only way you can get money back out is to go refinance. Well, when you go refinance, guess what the underwriters are going to do? Where's your sources of income? Mm-hmm. They're going to give you all kind of trouble. And then the other thing is, like, how you go pay the property taxes? How you go pay, even if you...
How about this? What if you had a mortgage at 3% and somebody tells you to go pay it off with a lump sum, and you do it, and then a year goes by and you want to refinance, and all of a sudden rates are at 7% now, right? Like, that's problematic.
So I know a lot of people said, no, this would never happen because somebody would have emergency reserves. They'd have it. You don't know. And that's why I tell you, you do not skip steps to the financial order of operation. This is not a game of checkers where goody for you that you got 200,000. That means that 200,000 should immediately go down to pay down the mortgage. What if you don't have cash reserves? What if you have credit card debt that needs to be paid off? What if you're not maximizing your employer's match? What if you haven't done any Roth accounts? You haven't done HSAs if you have them available to you. There's a lot of things that could be left behind if you turned the financial order of operations into a game of checkers and started skipping steps. That doesn't work.
And I think one of the things, like, so you're maybe hearing this, but oh man, these guys are awful. If I win the lottery, I'm not coming to talk to them. No way, no how. That's not true. We just want you to have a plan in place. You may be surprised to find out that a lot of times when we have someone who either sells a business, wins a lottery, sells a piece of land, has a large windfall, part of our plan might be for some piece of that to be blow money. Hey, let's chisel this off, and this is going to be you want the new car, you want the new house, you want to put in the pool, you want to, whatever that thing is, great. But it needs to be part of the plan, not just the first impulsive thing that you rush to do, because that thing that you rush to do may force out some things that you need to do when that windfall comes in.